Everybody ready? All right, hi everybody. Welcome to our last visioning workshop for the General Plan 2045 Comprehensive Update and the Housing Element Update. I'm going to hand it over to Claudia quickly to provide some information on Spanish translation.
Great. Thank you, Cassandra. Welcome and thank you for joining us. If you wish to hear the presentation in Spanish, please follow the instructions on the screen. A link to download a copy of the presentation in Spanish is available in chat. Bienvenidos a la reunión y gracias por acompañarnos. Esta sesión se está transmitiendo en inglés y español. Para escuchar la presentación en español, diríjase hacia el fondo de su pantalla y haga clic en Interpretación para las opciones de audio. De allí seleccione español y si después de seleccionar español escucha ambos idiomas al mismo tiempo, haga clic en silenciar el audio original. Un enlace para descargar una copia de la presentación en español está disponible en chat. Thank you, Cassandra.
Great, thank you, Claudia. So just to start us off, I'm going to give us just a few housekeeping items. We're going to start with an intro presentation and a few opening words, and then we will break out into some activities. So with that, I'm going to actually hand it over to Mr. Christopher Boyle, our Development Services Director, to welcome you all to tonight's activities.
Thank you, Cassandra, and thank you for all of the attendees that have joined us this evening. You're the reason why we're here, and I want to thank you wholeheartedly for your attendance at tonight's workshop. I also want to spread a little bit of thank yous out to city staff for their efforts in bringing this to fruition, as well as the city's consultant, Rincon Consultants, and their partnering consulting firms, VMI, for assisting in making this all happen. Thank you. Tonight is your last chance at participating in the city's general plan visioning workshop. We hold sessions of topics that have 2 in-person meetings and 2 virtual meetings. The last 4, this being the last one, have been on visioning. And tonight's your last chance to really step into the shoes and be a visionary for what you want to see Bakersfield be in 2045. It's from my perspective, that should be exciting and exhilarating. And we're hoping the next time here, the next hour and a half or so with us is exactly that. Because we want to collect your comments, see what your vision is for the city, and then utilize those comments in beginning to shape what the vision for the city in 2045 should look like and how it should be implemented within our ongoing general plan update. You know, I think about it, 1970, 100,000 people. How many people in 1970 envisioned Bakersfield to be over 400,000 people? I think that would have been a stretch for them. But our last general plan update, where you saw the West Side Parkway come to fruition as part of that visioning effort, shows just how important a visioning exercise is. So tonight, we'll be the visionaries of today. We can all be Elon Musk for the next hour and a half, right? And shape what Bakersfield is going to be mid-century. So thank you for attending, and I'm going to pass it back to Cassandra. Thank you, Cassandra.
Thank you, Chris. So as Chris mentioned, currently in our city, we have about 400,000 residents, give or take. If we continue our current growth trends, we are projected to reach around 700,000 residents by 2045, meaning we are going to have around 300,000 new neighbors by that time. So where is everybody moving in, right? How are they getting around? How are they getting from work to school to the grocery store? That's what we're here to figure out tonight, or to at least envision on a broader scale. We're not the first to experience growth in this way. Some places handle the situation by spreading out, which Bakersfield has done historically in a lot of ways. Some places go vertical in a big way, and some places do a bit of both and take the mixed use approach. But what about Bakersfield? What kind of growth is right for us? that is what we are doing in terms of our policy documents. So you may be aware, our Development Services Department, among other departments, is partnering to update our general plan and our housing element policy documents that guide development up to the year 2045. This slide shows a fraction of the strategies and topics that have to be considered during an effort like this. And I could spend an entire workshop on one word on this slide. In fact, we have done that, but that will not be what I want to focus on tonight. If you are interested in more of the background and reasoning why the state requires us to do these documents, you can go to Bakersfield2045.com. We have a lot of information there, as well as the presentations from our Intro to General Plan workshop series. Instead, I want to use the few minutes I have before our breakout groups to just emphasize why it's so important for you to stay involved in the RISE 2045 efforts and speak to the challenge it is creating a shared vision for the city. So we've all heard of the generations concept, silent generation, baby boomers. Myself, I'm a proud millennial. And this concept is so popular because there are very real generational differences in the way we communicate, our priorities, our challenges, and that becomes really important to acknowledge during a process like this, especially when, you know, what year you were born is just one small part of your identity and who you are. I have an example to prove my point. So as a millennial, if I were to text or send a message to somebody in an email and I wanted to let you know that I was laughing really hard at something, just laughing so hard I was crying, this is what I would send. But if you were my younger sibling who's Generation Z, she likes to send me this to say the same thing, say she's dying, she's laughing so hard. And that was very confusing to me. My point is that if I cannot decipher the emojis in a text message of a generation below me, how can I craft a shared vision for a city full of lots of generations and lots of different people? I cannot. So with 300,000 new neighbors, the pressure to balance growth and local needs is only going to continue to become more pressing. The only way to get it right, as Chris mentioned, is for you to share your ideas, for you to share your vision with us tonight and as we move forward into the process. Just a few words about participating tonight. There's a concept that I'm a fan of called make space, take space. So if you are somebody who is outgoing, you tend to dominate conversation, have a lot to say. I encourage you to be yourselves, but also do not forget to make space, take a step back and make sure others are having a chance to collaborate. If you're someone on the other side of the spectrum, you tend to be quieter, hang out in the background. I encourage you to take up space. Everyone is someone here. Your voice is important. So we cannot plan for you or future you if you do not speak up. So again, if you want to know more about the technicalities of general plans, housing elements, you can go to our website, Bakersfield2045.com, or you can always reach out to city staff, myself, or anybody in the planning department. And we're happy to just have a conversation with you about the process. That's all from me for now. I'm going to hand it back over to Claudia from VMA. She's going to give you an update on our engagement efforts so far and walk you through what we will be doing tonight.
Great, thank you, Cassandra. Next slide. So I'd like to go ahead and just mention that the city kicked off the general plan update in March. We began with a series of in-person and virtual workshops to introduce the community to the general plan and to inform the community and invite the community to participate in the process. As you can see in this timeline, that the project includes quite a bit of components, including a housing element. And so the process is rather lengthy, will take us into winter of 2024. The community workshops will feature focused discussions as we moved along the process, and they will each focus on specific topics and components of the general plan update. As mentioned, tonight's workshop concludes our Visioning series, workshop series that were aimed to help develop a community vision that will help guide the general plan update. And as we move through the process, We will be looking for your input to help identify issues and opportunities, selecting sites that can potentially accommodate housing. We will begin to look at other land uses as we focus on land use alternatives. Things like commercial and industrial and how transportation connects all of these. By 2023, we'll begin to finalize the housing element update and conduct environmental review, begin to develop the general plan policies and draft documents, which will be available for public review and comments. And so some of these efforts will continue through 2024 and will offer opportunities for revisions to the draft plan that will bring us to the end of the process with the adoption of the final general plan by the City Council. Next slide, please. And so what have we done so far? As mentioned, the city has hosted 3 introduction to general plan workshops. We've now at the end of 4 visioning workshops, and we have also concluded our first community survey. That survey was focused on the housing element update, and so we will have additional surveys and workshops coming up. But as far as our outreach efforts, we have a dedicated general plan update website. It's the Bakersfield2045.com. We've also reached out to the community through various e-blasts, through social media posts, through stories in local media, and community postings. So we've gone out to different places within the community, libraries, community organizations, to provide information regarding the general plan update and how and opportunities for participation. We've reached out to community groups, and I'd like to say thank you to the various community organizations that have partnered with the city to help promote these workshops and the survey as well. So thank you very much for your partnership. And we have also done pop-up events, 3 at this point, where we were at different community events. We had a booth and we were able to talk to the community and share information regarding the process and regarding upcoming events, and also to gather some information regarding some of the elements that are part of the plan and some of the feedback that's necessary for the update. And so as far as next steps, we are looking at late summer and fall for our next workshops that will focus on land use alternatives, that will discuss land use scenarios, and we'll have another pop-up events at some of the community events that are being planned right now for fall. Next slide. And so how will your input be used? Again, we can't stress enough how important it is for us to receive your feedback, because we can go ahead and make adjustments during the process for future engagement efforts. We want to make sure that we reach as many community members and that we are providing opportunities for engagement. So again, feedback, and we want to hear from you. All of that is important. Also, your feedback will help with priority setting. There are a lot of elements and components that are part of the plan, and so it is going to be helpful to try to prioritize from the feedback that we receive what the community sees as important, that what the city should focus on first, and so helping set priorities will be one reason one way that will be use your input. Policy making, again, also with the city council needs to know what is important in terms of, as they prepare to make decisions, and this goes into the next also, and these are tied together with policy making and city council decisions. So it's important to help the city council know how the community feels, and in order for them to make the important decisions, and so that they know also what the community values. Next slide. And so I mentioned a little bit, I spoke about the dedicated website. It's Bakersfield2045.com. And I urge everyone to visit the website, take a look at the website. You can sign up to receive updates regarding the process. You can learn more about the general plan update and the housing element. You can get information regarding upcoming events, and you can also access existing plan documents and informational resources. So it is a very, it's a hub of all things related to the general plan update, and it's very important. It's a very useful resource for the community. There's also an opportunity for the community to send emails. So if at any point during the process you have any comments, any questions, any suggestions as far as maybe, you know, following this workshop, there was something that you thought about that you wanted to share, you can go ahead and email through that website and get that information over to us. So again, please visit the website and learn more and stay informed. Next slide. So we do have some activities that we are very excited to have you participate in, and we'd like to go ahead and you know, have a very fruitful discussion. And so we have prepared two interactive activities that will allow the community to share their big ideas. Our first activity we're calling our assets exercise, and this is going to be where we're going to talk about what you consider to be Bakersfield's biggest assets. And assets can be things like economic opportunities, community groups, or a favorite park, for example. We'll spend 15 minutes for this topic of conversation, and then we'll move on to our next exercise, which will focus on a vision. So how do you envision Bakersfield in 20 years? We want to hear, again, your big picture ideas for the city, things like housing types or transportation networks, or ideas for maintaining or improving recreational spaces, for example. Again, this is an opportunity to think big. You know, we're talking about the city's future and how you would like for the city to evolve. And so we really need to hear your thoughts on those topics. And so we'll spend about 15 minutes on this topic as well. And so before we begin the activities, we'd like to go ahead and ask your participation to a poll. So next slide. And so we do have a poll that we would like to run at this point. Andrew, if you can put that on the screen, I'd appreciate that. So we would like to hear from you. What do you think should be the biggest focus for Bakersfield in the next 20 years? If you can go ahead and participate in our poll, we'd appreciate it, and we'll give you some time to look through those responses. But some of those choices include land use and housing, transportation and mobility, economic development, natural resources, parks and open space, natural hazards and climate change resiliency, environmental justice and quality of life, sustainability and air quality. And these are some of the elements that are part of the general plan update. And so again, we're looking to hear from you. Andrew, do we have results? Okay, let me just see if I can take a look here. It looks like the biggest focus, or the poll results indicate that most feel that the biggest focus should be, actually, it's split between economic development and parks and open space. And then also with the second highest answer would be land use and housing, and sustainability and air quality. So thank you very much for your participation. And so now we go ahead and move on to the next part of the workshop, which will be the activities. But next slide, please. But before we do that, I'd like to just go ahead and share what's on this slide here. It's a quick review, tech recap for Zoom features on where you can find some of the features, including the unmute and mute buttons and the raise your hand options. So as you can see there, you can find those on the screen through those channels there. And then the next slide, please. So just as a reminder that we do have the simultaneous Spanish interpretation. And so I just want to go ahead and recap once again in Spanish. Para escuchar la presentación en español y participar en la discusión en español, diríjase hacia el fondo de su pantalla y haga clic en Interpretación para las opciones de audio. De allí seleccione español y si después de seleccionar español escucha ambos idiomas al mismo tiempo, haga clic en silenciar el audio original. Un enlace para descargar una copia de la presentación en español está disponible en chat. Okay, so I also want to, las personas que necesiten interpretación al español durante las actividades, por favor, de levantar su mano virtual. So just for the folks that are needing Spanish interpretation during the activities, if you can please raise your virtual hand at this point, that will help us with making sure that we provide that assistance for you. Andrew, I don't see any. Oh, we do have one. Okay. Great. So at this point, we're ready to do our breakout rooms and move into our breakout sessions.
Can you hear me now? I've been waiting to do that all day long. You know, how many times have I not pressed the unmute button? Okay. Hi, my name's Chris Boyle, and I'll be your moderator for today's session. Has anybody been with me as a participant in past virtual workshops? I knew it, Lisa. How are you? Oh, you're guilty too. No, try again.
Okay. Okay, now I'm here.
Okay, perfect. So what I'd like to do is, well, I want to welcome you again, Lisa. Thanks for being with me. I'll do a quick introduction of myself. Let's just go around the room. My name is Chris Boyle. I'm the Development Services Director for the City of Bakersfield. I'll be your moderator for the next 80 minutes. And I'm going to try to have a good time, and I'd recommend that you try and do the same. Since I'm the boss, I will call out names. And since Kelly is hiding herself, I'm going to ask Kelly to introduce herself first. Kelly.
Hi, I am here to support Claudia today for VMA.
Well, Kelly, I want you to go away then. No, I'm just kidding.
Great.
And who is the HTTBK visioning? Is there a person behind that web address?
Is that me?
I'm hoping it is.
Oh, all right. Hi, hello. I'm with Time for Change. It's a youth organization. So I just came to take notes about what you guys are doing and how we can better the community together. So.
Well, I think the key word there today, your name again, Miss? It's
Rose.
Well, I think the key word was how we can share together. And so I'm going to pick on you because your thoughts matter as well. How about Lisa, why don't you introduce yourself to the group as well?
My name is Lisa Engel. This is my second visioning, actually third, but I did visioning over 20 years ago with the city of Bakersfield. I must say, and I don't know why, but we just don't seem to have the amount of participation we had then, but it turned out pretty good. And we had I can think of about 6 things that occurred because of that visioning project. And then I went to Delano and I worked in economic development and they wanted to do visioning. So myself and a couple of other people did visioning with them. And that was a lot of fun. So that's me.
So I have a resident visionary, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to have a good time tonight. Yazid, if you'd like to.
Hi, my name is Yazid. I am an associate planner with the Advanced Planning Department. This is my first time in the visioning workshop, although I've been helping with the outreach for the Bakersfield Rise 2045. I'm excited to be here.
I like your gadgets too, you know, the earphones and everything. You got it.
I have 3 kids, so door closed, locked, headphones.
Well, our first exercise is on assets, and I'm going to take a moment to share my screen. Let's see here. Can we all see it now?
Mhm.
Great. I think I'm going to go to, there we go. So our first exercise is going to be on assets. And, you know, I got a feeling we're going to do a workshop at some point in juncture that also focuses on maybe where our strengths aren't. But inevitably, in doing this for the 4th time, I think we do talk some about where inevitably we're going to talk about where some of our shortcomings are as well. But I want you to all time to filter our dialogue as it relates to assets is what's our strengths? You know, Lisa noted that we did this in the past, and there's at least 6 things that came from that. And I'm going to assume that those are some of the strengths that are evident in the city today. And since I want to encourage participation, if there's any silence whatsoever, I'm going to start name calling and I'll ask you to participate just because. So that said, I'll start with Lisa, and let me ask the BK Visioning gal. How do you spell your name?
It's Rosie. It's ROS and then IE.
Got it. Thank you, Rosie. You're going to be up next, Rosie. So Lisa's going to lead off. Lisa, can you share some of your thoughts as it relates to what the city's assets are?
Yes, I think a big thing that's changed since 20 years ago is that we have the West Side Parkway, which seems to provide a connection between east and west in terms of in central. That's one thing. And then another asset is we have a beautiful park downtown that was a result of the visioning. I think that's an asset. Oh, my goodness.
Are you talking the Mill Creek Park? The linear park?
Yes. No, yes. And I also think that Bakersfield College, Cal State, and the ROC, which is the high school, you know, the current high school district, skills, that trains people for skills.
The ROP, Regional Occupation Program? That's it.
You know, yeah, and you know what? I'm sorry. My husband helped start that with Jack Sheets, and I always call it the ROC. So it's
a curse.
ROP.
There are 26 letters in the alphabet, and we can't get them all right in the same order at the same time. So I'm right there with you.
That's
okay?
all I have to say right now. That's it for me right now.
Rosie, how about your insights as it relates to some of the city's assets?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm a bit confused. Can you elaborate on that a little bit more?
Sure. When I talk about assets, here I'm going to give you an example because some of the things that are intangibles. I was amazed at one of the last groups last time where I was kind of like totally surprised that one of the assets that one of the individuals shared was the community groups that are so supportive in the community. It wasn't not a tangible
That's
thing
true.
like a park or a roadway, but it was an intangible. But there are other tangible assets within the city. Lisa noted our educational systems. We have a CSUB, a Cal State University. We have an outstanding 2-year community college here in the community. So Rosie, we've got to have more than just that in terms of our assets. City of 400,000 people. What are some of our strengths?
This is a bit minimal, but I just like I really like it. Like whenever I'm like going like on a jog or something and I see like a water fountain in the parks, I think those are like really beneficial, especially if it's like a hot day. And like if I have my dog, I can just like, like cool off of it. It's minimal, but I think it's a really good thing.
Mm.
My grandkids just have to go out to we have a park not too far away that has a spray park, and when they're visiting, they want to go to that park because there's water there. Yazid, you're new with me. Oh wait, I see Andrew Landeros. Andrew, I didn't get a chance to see you in my breakout group. Oh wait, Andrew, you're part of my my consulting team. Thanks. Are you not, Andrew?
That's correct, Chris. I'm bouncing in and out, making sure everybody's got good
Thank you,
audio and
Andrew.
everything's happening right.
Okay, next time announce that you can. No, I'm just kidding around. So I'm going to go back to Yazid. Yazid, you're a staff member, but you've been with me for less than a couple of months. How long have you been in Bakersfield?
Bakersfield, I moved here in December of '98. It was that year where it snowed. I remember I went from New York overseas for a few years, then came to Bakersfield, and so when everyone was like, it's snow, I'm like, so what's the big deal? And everyone's like, oh, it never snows here. So I remember it pretty fondly. But I did do high school here. I graduated from BC. I moved to Las Vegas for my bachelor's, and I came back, and I've been back since 2011. So Bakersfield is pretty much home. So
what are some of the city's assets from your perspective? I'm not giving staff a get out of jail free card.
yeah, to me, the biggest assets really is our museums. So we have 3 museums and the zoo. A lot of people don't, forget about those. Those are not only educational, but they do provide like a lot of services and entertainment for a lot of the families, especially the Kern County Museum. I mean, most of the time when you go somewhere, that preserves history, there's nothing like the Kern County Museum. I mean, when they pick up an entire building and move it there, and you could actually go see that building that was built in Kern County, 50, 60, 100 years ago, that's pretty amazing. So I would definitely say it's our museums, also our art museum. And then we have the Museum of Natural History. My kids love playing with rocks, so I always take them up there to check out the minerals. So yeah, definitely the museums and the zoo. I think those are large assets that some people kind of overlook.
Calm is awesome. My grandkids love it as well. I'm going to try something different that I haven't done in other sessions. I'm going to call out, we'll go in a round robin. Well, I'm just going to call out, I'll include myself in the round robin. What the heck? And we'll go around and each person will call out one asset. My asset will be a Mechanics Bank Arena. Not every city has the benefit of an arena with a convention center. Bakersfield, the size of 400,000 people, has a wonderful venue that can hold conferences, can hold athletic events, and also can support a professional team at the same time. That's a great asset. Lisa, next asset. Let's see.
That was born out of the 20 years ago. That was born out of the vision. It really was. Anyway, okay, one asset that I really, I tell you, I like being able to get out into the wide open spaces. I can get in the car, I can go out and be in the country, in just a few minutes.
So you like the location of the community. You can be in the Sierras in an hour. You can be in the LA Basin in not much more than an hour.
Or in the middle of a field.
Or in the middle
of a field. You see, when
Yeah.
I was in LA, that's one thing I really missed. You could go to the ocean and all that, but I like the wide open spaces where you can just have quiet.
Great. Rosie, you're up.
Did we lose?
Hi, hello. Sorry, I just joined on my computer because I was having a bit of trouble. Hi. Can you repeat that one more time?
I'm going on a round robin, Rosie. You don't get out of jail free card. And each of us will give one asset. And I want to see how long it takes before someone says pass. Don't let me down, Rosie. Don't be the first person. We've had 3 assets in a row. We're on a roll here. What are some of the city's assets? I said Mechanics Bank Arena. Yazid mentioned the museums and the zoo. Lisa spoke about the open space opportunities that are just outside of town.
Yeah. I would probably have to say like the marathons. I've been to a few marathons, and they're always like a lot of fun, like the color runs and like just like the marathons. I think they're really fun. I usually meet like a lot of nice people there, and I just have a great time. So I think that's a really good way to bring the community together. And out of that, you get exercise and you get to like, it feels amazing, honestly. So
That's a great event, and it only gets bigger every year. Thank you, Rosie. Wait, it's my turn now. Let's see. I like the retail opportunities in the community. This is a one-stop shop. The last community I lived in, if I wanted to go shopping to do a day's shopping to buy this, that, or the other, I was 35-mile drive to go to the city to do that. Today, this city is a full-service community in terms of all of the retail that's available to our residents. There isn't a single thing you have to leave Bakersfield to purchase if you so desire to purchase it. And that's a real asset that we sometimes forget because we really are just a stone's throw away from just about every amenity we might need. Yazid?
For me, another one that some people kind of also overlook is our airport. I know it's small, and it only goes to the 3 major stops. You have Denver, Mexico, and Texas. But for some people who, as Cassandra had mentioned, who might be millennials or Generation Z, who like to travel and may want to get into consulting. Consulting is a great field, and consulting requires like a lot of travel. Most consultants live in Texas, where it's 3 hours to the East Coast, 3 hours to the West Coast. So for people who want to, kind of get into that field, you could easily go from Bakersfield to Texas, which, offers some opportunities, and maybe, transfer to another place and still be able to live somewhere affordably, which is Bakersfield. So it allows someone to live affordably and maybe, make a career out of themselves, out of, living here, and as an additional industry. It's something I looked into back in the day, and I was pretty surprised at how easy it would work for some people.
Great asset. Since I've moved here, I've only flown out of Meadows Field, and it's the only place I need to fly out of. You're absolutely correct. You go to Dallas, but from Dallas you can go anywhere. And great asset. Lisa?
Yes. I already did an asset.
I'm asking you for another.
Oh, another. Oh, okay, another. Oh, golly. I think also there's the ability to, well, I think the high schools, they have a great rivalry, and there's a lot of sporting activities based around the high schools, and it develops camaraderie within the community. And I really think that the high school districts, plural, have done a great job in developing, good athletic programs where people develop rivalries and they also just have fun together.
Are you a driller, Lisa?
No,
Okay. I
I'm a
just said-
tiger from Wasco.
Okay.
But when I was young,
You know
I
all
had a
about
lot of
rivalries.
Oh boy, yeah, that's really very true. And it's not as bad as you think. Half the things that we do are all done in fun between Chapter and us. Yep.
Rose, you should just leave your microphone on, Rose, because you're up now.
Oh, alrighty. Could I add on to what Lisa was saying?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, I completely agree because I'm a high school student. I'm a senior right now. I'm in my last year. I'd like to add on to what she was saying. Like the district is actually it's a really nice, comfortable place. I love that I can like wake up and then get like so excited to come to school. I was in a few sports and I've made a lot of friends in there, and I hope they're lifelong friends. But it's a really fun time. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Thank you, Rose.
Mhm.
Oh, wait, it's back to me again. This is going to be hard, but we're never going to say pass, right? Come on, commit to me that we're not going to say pass. I think one of our assets would be healthcare. We've got great healthcare in Bakersfield. Um,
Right,
many communities don't share in those benefits where we have multiple healthcare organizations, multiple hospitals, great set of doctors, great emergency care, and that's something that we shouldn't take for granted. That's something that is really considered an asset in my book, healthcare. Izzy?
For me, Amtrak. We have Amtrak, and if you ever, want to travel and not have to worry about anything and kind of make it to like a mini adventure, the Amtrak is pretty good. Uh, I usually like take it up to the Bay Area and back. It's a very relaxed, drive out there, very scenic, especially when you kind of go through some of the northern counties and starts to get greener and greener. Obviously the downside with any Amtrak is just, it's always late, but it's not their fault. I learned this because the railroads
right away.
the railway owns the track, so their carts take priority. So, but overall, I mean, it's pretty good, and it does add an additional option for commuting for people.
I think it's a great asset, and I've used Amtrak both for family to come into town where, my mother, she maybe not the greatest driver. She doesn't want to get into the raceway on 99. She comes and visits via Amtrak and spends some time with my family. So I don't know what I'd do without it, to be honest with you. Lisa?
Yes, I think the close proximity to metropolitan Los Angeles, where if you need to go to a specialist, or if you need, if you want to go to a play, or things that our community doesn't offer, it's really only an hour and a half away.
Yeah, it makes it really hard to decide what to do for your wife's anniversary. Okay, I'm trying to figure out what to do now because there's nothing I can't do to celebrate an anniversary. LA is just over the hill, and really, there's almost anything you could do there to celebrate those types of events. Rose?
Okay. So can this even apply to like LA, or is it just like mainly in Bakersfield?
No, I want you to think about, and I think it's great that we have a younger person participating tonight because
Oh, I do
you
too.
have a different perspective of what the strengths of the community are
Oh, yeah.
than any. We have multi generations here in our breakout group, and so your comments as it relates to what you think are the best parts of Bakersfield are perhaps most important because we don't see a lot of youth participate in our sessions. So not LA, Bakersfield. Is there more that you think in terms of what makes Bakersfield good?
Yes. I would probably say like Hard Park. Hard Park. I'm not really sure how to. I think it's Hard Park, I believe. But that place is. I like that place because I like the tables with the grills that are like spaced out at the park. Those places always like bring me joy because I remember like I would go like with family trips, and we would just like go to the park and like cook and stuff, and it always brings back really nice memories. So that's definitely a good asset.
Thank you, Rose. Shoot, now it's my turn again. We're never going to say pass. I'm positive. I would be ashamed of myself, if Claudia's in the background waiting for this to go south on me, and it's just not going to happen. Another strength of the city, I'm going to say it's downtown. There are some cities downtowns, they're more aligned with, the vision for the community is to tear it down and put something else there. And I think it might even been Lisa is saying, well, there's so many things we want to keep in our downtown because it's a piece of our past, and maybe it's because of the earthquake, or maybe it's because of some other anomaly in the city's past. But there's a lot to be said for the downtown in Bakersfield in terms of it being a destination place, a fun place to be, a friendly place to be. And I know that the city's residents, feel the same way and want to make investments into the downtown. So I will say the city's downtown as an asset, and that puts Yazid on the hot seat now. Take that, Yazid. You thought you had me, didn't you? Yeah.
Okay, well, for me, another asset I think that we have is we have actually a lot of events here that usually only happen in larger cities. So, like for example, San Diego has Comic-Con, Bakersfield has Comic-Con. I think they're up to the 12th year so far. Larger cities have like car shows. We have annual car shows. The last one I went to was in Stramler Park. Some places have gun shows. We have one here too. It's kind of funny. They always happen at the same time as Comic-Con at the Kern County Fair. So, left for Comic-Con, right for the gun show. I always find that kind of a little humorous, but I enjoy both at the same time. So we have events here where, you don't have to travel far away. There's some places where, you want to go to an event, you have to travel, over 100 miles. So we're very fortunate to have those. And they actually happen every year. I don't think we've ever had an event that stopped, like did a year or two and then stopped. They usually continue one year after another and become a tradition.
Thank you, Yazid. Lisa?
I think the proximity to smaller communities where they also have, festivals and that kind of thing. And, there's a lot of give and take. The communities, hey, we're over here and we're doing this. And people go over there. It's not very far, I think that closeness of different communities and the diversity. The diversity is a big thing. Couldn't have said that 50 years ago.
You know what? You couldn't have. And I just want to build on that a little bit as one of the intangibles, because you took my next strength and asset right out of my mouth there, in that I love the diversity in my neighborhood. I love the shared community ethic in the community. I just really think that it represents a great cross-section of what and who America is today. And whereas in other cities, maybe that isn't considered an asset. I think in Bakersfield, by and large, the residents appreciate the diversity of the community. It expresses itself in many, many different ways that ultimately are a great benefit to the community and to its residents. Rose?
Hi.
You're up.
And you're beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much. That's so sweet. I think another great asset would be farmers markets. I don't know if you guys have ever been to a farmers market, but they're so friendly, and I really love them. I always have a great time. Yeah, that would probably be the biggest asset. Also, I love that I can get stuff that's like organic and like handmade, it feels amazing. Yeah. That's it.
Thank you,
That's
Rose.
great.
I really appreciate your participation. I know I caught you by surprise, and you have great contributions.
Mhm.
Now it's back to me again. This should be easy. You know, one of the things I love about the community, and I'm coming from other communities, my last municipality just had not had that vision forward in terms of making roads wide enough so that you could expand them as the city grew. And so getting across town was a nightmare because the streets were so constricted in the downtown area. You couldn't get from one side to the other easily. In Bakersfield, you don't need to get on the freeway to get around town in a hurry. You know, I live on the west side. I had a doctor's appointment on the east side the other day. I got on one road. It took me directly across the town, and it was neither stop and go or otherwise. I love the grid streets in the community in terms of a way of being good transportation planning where you don't have to get on the freeway. In Fresno, you most certainly, if you want to get around someplace fast, you have to get on the freeway, which means you don't go very fast on the freeway because everybody is trying to use the freeway to get around. So in Bakersfield, you don't have to get on the freeway to really live in the community. And I really appreciate that. The transportation component of the town, it's really a well-built asset. Yazid?
Okay, for me, the amount of nonprofits in Bakersfield. When I worked at the food bank, we had over 80 partnerships, and nonprofits are essential for many, many reasons. For example, you have youth groups like Boys and Girls Club and the Capkey Youth Center that, you know, make sure the kids are taken care of until their parents get off of work. That way they're not out in the streets and getting into trouble. Then obviously you have the food bank that helps people, you know, when, you know, you start running out of groceries or, you know, you're having issues with Department of Human Services, which, you know, sometimes they get overwhelmed themselves. You know, then there's the Toys for Kids and Christmas, Safe Halloween at the Kern County Museum, where, you know, kids could do trick-or-treating without going to a stranger's house. And, you know, nonprofits take over every house in the museum and hand out candy. So we have a lot of nonprofits here locally. So it really helps not only individuals, but even families, especially right now, you know, with inflation and things like that. It really helps kind of keep the community alive and going.
Thanks, Yazid. That's an asset that many communities lack. They don't have that community support built in with the various non-governmental aid organizations and nonprofits that help support the community. Lisa, we still haven't said pass yet, and I think we're getting to a place where we have about 5 minutes or so before we're going to wind it down.
Okay.
Let's win. Let's win.
Okay,
Go.
I can tell
Fight.
you.
Win.
Oh, okay, here it
Go
is.
Tigers.
We seem to have a lot of unique neighborhoods, or, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
In other words, there's certain parts of town and you go, oh yes, I'm in Westchester, or oh yes, I'm, you know, out in the Cottonwood area, or oh yes, you know what I mean? It's really diverse.
And many of those neighborhoods have character that we really want to protect and enhance.
Yes.
Whether it's
Yes.
Oleander, Westchester,
Mhm.
now we're talking about Eastchester or Old Town Kern.
Yes.
All those areas, the country club, the College Park area, each of them have a very unique dynamic. And some of them are in the hills and some of them are on the valley floor. You have City in the Hills. So you're absolutely right. That's a very good asset. Thank you. Rose?
I think another asset would probably be the I'm not sure how to describe it, but like the little stores that are next to each other, you know, where there's like lines of stores. I like those.
Mhm.
There's one by the mall where it's like it's the mall and then it's like there's a movie theater and then there's like two restaurants and then there's like a shopping place. Um, I really like it there. I've gone there a few times with my friends and it's like helped me make memories and I just really love it there. So I like that.
Excellent. I can almost envision you with your friends taking a picture by the fountains in front of the movie theater on Ming. I was I went to see a movie there this past weekend, and there are lots of teens and groups going to movies and going out to dinner and just socializing. It's kind of cool, just people watching, and that it's that kind of placemaking that makes people feel comfortable in those types of spaces. I really appreciate it. Thanks for your comments, Rose.
Yeah, of course.
I'm going to say one of the assets that we don't think about very often, because it's not really there, is the river.
Mhm.
That is one of those assets that perhaps we haven't yet been able to capitalize on in new and different ways. It's largely a dry arroyo most of the time. But I think that as a visionary, I would love to see ways where we were able to put water in the river more frequently, such that it became more of a community asset than it is today. Just like my last community, Madera, where the Fresno River is just dry as a bone, virtually year round. I saw that river run for an entire year during a very wet season, and the area around that river changed dramatically, just in the way people perceived the area and how they use that space. You started to see people picnicking in parks along the river and fishing, and just it was an open space amenity like no other. So I will say, although we don't see it today, our visionary exercise here today, I'd love to see the river. Yazid, we're on the home stretch.
Okay, for me, we have plenty of parking. No matter what day, time, Black Friday, you always have parking. You never worry about parking. That's the one thing I always dread whenever I go to like San Francisco or Los Angeles is parking. And that just makes everyone's life so much easier. And also, some people don't stop to think about how important it is to just the economy. If people dread going somewhere and can't find parking, they're not going to shop. They don't shop, money doesn't move around the economy. So the fact that we have plenty of parking, I think it's an asset that none of us think about because we kind of just grew up here.
Thank you, Yazid. You don't think of parking until you can't find one. Lisa, I think we're right at the 3-minute mark or something like that. I think we've got enough time for about going around the room 2 more times. Let's see if we can hit a home run here.
Okay. I like again, I'm going to go back to on clear days, and there's many more clear days now than there were 20 years ago, even 30 years ago. There are many more clear. You can actually look out and see the mountains.
Yeah.
You have a sense of where you are in the world and where you are in the Central Valley.
Yeah, I've only been here 3 years, and I know it's got a bad rap, but I find the air in Bakersfield to be really nice. Like, you're right, you can see the mountains, you know where you are. You try spending a summer in Fresno versus a summer in Bakersfield. I love the breeze. Love the breeze.
Well, we've been real lucky with the breeze this year, so.
Yeah, you just don't have that in Fresno. It gets stagnant and it sits there and stews. Rose?
I want to kind of add on to what Lisa was saying. I think the mountains are actually super, super nice. I remember going on hikes all the time with my family, and I like that sometimes whenever like I drive home, I could just like look up, especially after like a rainy day. I can look up and I can like see the mountains like so clearly, and it's really breathtaking, honestly.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. We're back to me. I will not let this stop with me. I'm going to say our religious institutions. This really is, it seems to me to be a really strong faith-based community, and They do a lot of things that Yazid mentions in terms of nonprofits and the like, in being there to help those in need. And I really like that ethic. I like the church that I have chosen, and maybe what I like even more about the church I've chosen is it prays for all the churches in Bakersfield, and there are so many, and prayer is a powerful thing. And I think that that the good Lord shines down on Bakersfield in wonderful ways because of its faith-based community. Yazid?
For me, this is something that people don't also think about is we have the two swap meets, well, technically 3 or 4 now, and a ton of thrift stores. For people who usually are on a budget or love finding things, from the past, from their childhood, or, the whole idea of one man's trash is another man's treasure. Just having those makes a huge difference. I remember I lived in Delano for a little bit with my brother, and there was only, one Goodwill. So it made those Saturdays thrifting a little difficult.
Yeah, I have to watch my wife very carefully on Saturday mornings. Okay, Yazid. So a good asset, no doubt about it. Lisa?
Well, I'm going to tell you, having spent some time in Delano and being a real thrift person, I live at Encore, and I really enjoy, that's the whole thing about how giving people are. I mean, there's not a time that I don't go in there that somebody doesn't come in with some clothes. And I mean, they are packed in the back, like unbelievable. I mean, we have a very giving community. I don't care how old you are, or I mean, what your socioeconomic, background or situation is. I mean, people are giving. So I would say that, and it's a lot of fun. That between there and the Discovery Shop, and occasionally what's the Assistance League, which is closed most of the time right now. But yes, it's a very giving community, and I enjoy the giving that they give.
Thank you, Lisa. You have 19 seconds. Rose, you have 19 seconds. You're the last one on the list. I'm going to move on to our next topic.
Okay, to finish it off, I think I'm gonna say maybe nurseries, like plant nurseries. I went this past weekend and I got a bunch of like little succulents, and they're so cute. I love them. So.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Well, I want to thank you all for not having to pass once in the last 40 minutes, and for sharing your insights with us as it relates to our first exercise. Our second exercise is what I like to call think big. And I mean, think big. Sometimes we kind of paint ourselves into corners where we think, well, that can't happen here. And I mentioned to start this thing, did 100,000 people in Bakersfield in 1970 ever think that there would be 400,000 people here? Probably not.
Nope.
No way.
We didn't.
And
we went out of our minds when there were 70.
Exactly. You thought that, if there was 2 cars at the stoplight at H and Chester, there was problems that you needed to fix. So here today, we're probably 410,000 people today, the way we grow, and opportunities are abound. We just talked about our assets, and we could talk about assets for 40 minutes and not say, well, we need to be doing this instead, because we know that we're not perfect, but we're able to stay on a task and talk about our strengths. And I'm not sure communities can do that like Bakersfield can. The net outcome there is we have a lot of strengths. The town has wonderful bones in multiple ways, not just tangible, but intangible ways. And then it's surrounded by things, whether it's LA or the coast or the mountains or just open space like the Wind River Range. or the Wind Wolf Range.
Twin Wolves.
Yeah, just outside of town where you have opportunities to just get out of the urban form and commune with nature. There's so many assets with the community. So this exercise builds on that. It says, thinking big, what would you like to see accomplished by 2045 to improve our community? So, and then we're going to be challenged with creating, or coming up with or identifying one big vision, if that's at all possible. I haven't seen it possible yet, but let's see if we can pull it off. So let's share your big picture ideas. Let's talk about themes or words or phrases to let us know how we envision Bakersfield in 20 years, including things like economy and jobs or housing or livability, quality of life, transportation. What do you want to see Bakersfield look like in 25 years? And we'll do it the same way. And since I struggled to be first, I think I'll be last. And I'll start with Lisa. Again, in terms of, okay, I'll go first because I like to think big. And so I've got some, I got some big ideas and maybe it'll inspire, okay? Today we're 406,000 people. We could be twice that. Most people say we'll be pressing up against 700,000 people in 2025, 705,000 people. I see us having a riverfront stadium with a retractable roof that houses either a major league soccer team or a major league baseball team or both. I think it's going to be put right next to the high-speed rail station, which we didn't mention as an asset. And it'll be right where all those baseball parks are, the county parks thing is, and there'll be water in the river and people will come from all around to attend events using high-speed rail. That's a big, thinking big. Anybody want to try their hand on what they see as what's the big picture for Bakersfield 2045?
I want to see more ROC locations, like at least 3 more, and because we need people that can fix cars and do all those skillful things. Not everybody's going to go to college. And, and a lot of times people think they're not going to go. And after they get a skill like that, they discover they are going to go. But that's what I see. I see an increase in the amount of skill training that we do. It may be in one spot, but I think it's got to be more than just out at Mount Vernon.
Rose, 25 years from now, you'll be 22. No, I'm just kidding. 25 years from now, perhaps you have a family. What's your big vision for Bakersfield?
I want to see more grass or more green out in nature, or I just want to see nature improve, just just a little bit. I want to see like more water in the rivers, and I want to see more green grass instead of like dead grass, And I hope that I don't know if the wildfires are such an issue anymore, but I remember it was a pretty bad issue in the summer. They would spark up wildfires because of like dead grass, and I really hope that that's never going to be an issue again. Yeah, so I just want to see nature improve a bit more.
Yazid?
I would actually like to see a raceway, like a drag raceway. A lot of youths, not even youths, a lot of people like to race their cars. Obviously, when they do it without thinking, it leads to like a lot of accidents, destroyed property. I do know there are some counties where like once or twice a year they open it up to whoever wants to race their car. It it brings in revenue. People go in, kind of get their fix for speed. And yeah, and there are like a lot of car shows here in Bakersfield. And if you guys have been watching the news, so a lot of people have been doing those street takeovers and ended up hurting themselves or someone else. And so this would be a good way to save people's lives and also bring revenue and some entertainment into the community as well.
Like it. On the raceway out on the west side of town that doesn't offer, that's just an oval, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just an oval. Some of the communities have like the long drag strips where they can.
It is Famoso. Still
Time
being-
out, time out. That's exactly why Formosa is where it is. It is owned by the California Auto Club. And it started out, it was people got, and I remember because I was little, people were dragging, just like you were saying, Azid. And what they did was some farmers got together and one farmer donated that land. And then pretty soon it became the national drags. And that was kind of shocking because it brought not the greatest element, but eventually we got a hold of that. And now it comes at least once or twice a year. So that is, but it started out with somebody saying, help us out here. And weekly they had drags out there with high school kids.
I like the idea because we have such a car-centric society here. There is a love affair with our cars, and whether it's, I noted during COVID, as if it's still like it's gone or something, but during the peak of COVID, that there was a lot of cruising on Truxton Avenue, and it was like stepping back in time, and it was really kind of cool to see the community come together in a different way.
God, that was so great.
And so I really
Great.
I see there's real potential for something like a drag strip, additional drag strip close to town to allow for.
Well, we have the dirt track too. That's in the north of Bakersfield. We have the dirt track. There are not many dirt tracks around either. So we have some good racing facilities.
It might help our drifting community drift a little better with a little bit of dirt.
Yeah.
What would I like to see? Thinking big. I want to see a skyline in downtown. I want to see a skyline that has 20 and 25-story buildings, and I want to see downtown development that includes residential development that's close to the high-speed rail station, and where people can live in Bakersfield in transit-oriented development in tall buildings and commute to jobs anywhere, or just call Bakersfield home and be able to telecommute from what is now a city with a skyline. When you think of Seattle, you think of the Needle, you think of San Francisco, you think of the Pyramid. To have a defined skyline that says, oh, that's Bakersfield. That's kind of why our Rise theme, on one side it has the Bakersfield Arch and it has the clock tower from Chester and those things, but on the other side of that logo it has a skyline that is something we don't have today, and that exemplifies going from the past into the future. Who's next? Is it Lisa?
Okay. I like the skyline too, but there needs to be parking. We need to have parking, or Azid, you're not going to be able to find a place to park in 25 years. That's number one. And number two, Mr. Doyle, you and I talked about this before, and as I've walked around downtown, I don't think I'd like it to be any higher than 10 stories. That's about, I think it gets too high, and we've got a Bank of America building that half of it's empty. I don't know that we're even ready for it in 25 years. But if we are, I'm sure that the private people will figure it out. But I think 10 stories max, and plenty of room for parking. Lots of parking.
Okay.
And residential. And residential, oh, a lot of residential.
Rose?
Hi. Sorry to interrupt. I'm another youth here. I'm with Time for Change as well, and my name is Martin.
Mark, you just
We can't
stepped
see you,
in?
Martin.
Hello.
Hi. So you just entered the chat room or entered the breakout session?
I was here for a bit, but I didn't want to interrupt, so.
Oh, I wanted you to interrupt, Martin.
Martin, we can't see your face.
I can't see your face. You got a heck of a forehead, Martin. I think that's,
I'll sit
Don't
up better.
hide. Oh, come on.
no, don't do that to me, Martin. Well, Martin, did you hear me describe the visioning session for Thinking Big?
I joined when you guys were talking about the like assets here in Bakersfield and stuff.
Okay, and so we completed that section, and we're in the visioning exercise. And so, what is your one big vision for Bakersfield in the next 25 years?
Well, we've seen like they're currently making the like freeways bigger here. There's like a lot more going on, so it's kind of like getting more of the like LA vibe. And so with that, I would also like to see like taller buildings instead of like just having way more. I'd like to see something taller, more stuff that makes us stand out. And along with it, I forgot since when, but I've there's been a like wave of more like homeless and stuff. So I'd like to see like some more shelters and stuff for people to be, because it's like not nice to see at all, to have people out. And something that, as you said, like something that can show that's like us going from the past to the future. I think it would be cool to have like something that, people hear it and it's like, oh, Bakersfield, like this is why people go to Bakersfield, this one big thing. And then you go to that one big thing and there's like, then when you're actually there, you're like, oh, like there's so much other places that are not as known around the world or whatever. And then, it's like more stuff to actually like give people reasons to go to Bakersfield and be like, wow, like that was a really good experience,
How about the Disneyland of the Valley?
No.
Hey, I'm just.
I think the country music. The West, we've got a good start with
One
that.
too. That I don't think they know how to spell Merle Haggard. But I love country music. Don't get me wrong, but I also like corn. So there's so many different brands of music today.
Yeah, that's true.
And
There's a music. Yeah, there's a good music culture here.
Okay, I appreciate your comments, and I'll begin to call on you,
That
Martin.
was great, Martin.
You asked for it.
Great.
All right, thank you.
You betcha. I appreciate you
You
being
really
here.
did. You really did.
I wish I would have seen you. I've only got my screen only shows 4 people, and so you snuck in on me. Rose, how about you're thinking big? What's your one big vision for Bakersfield in the future?
I would say maybe bigger attractions when it comes to like art, like the Fox Theater is already, pretty iconic, and I would just want to see more things like that, like just more things when it comes to like art in total, Yeah.
More cultural types of opportunities.
Yeah.
Right, Rose?
Yeah.
Excellent. Yazid?
Really good.
Me, I would like to see something like the Adventure Dome in Las Vegas. Pretty much it's an indoor amusement park.
Yeah.
We can't stop the heat in the Central Valley. There's just no way around it.
Yes.
And so having an amusement park that's indoor and would be air conditioned would, be very, very beneficial. I can't tell you how many times, my kids want to go out and play. I'm like, I'm not going out there. It's 100 degrees. I don't know. Do kids feel heat? Like mine, they just love playing outside. And I'm like, I'm not going out there. So yeah, so having an indoor, like a large indoor amusement park like that, I think would be pretty amazing.
Before I come to you, back to you, Martin, I'll say I'd love to see, and I can tell you right now that there's CSU Bakersfield, and like Fresno has Fresno State, but I've worked for a community, Clovis, which is in Northeast Bakersfield, and they want to have a UC campus. And I'd love to see a UC Kern. And in one of our sessions in the past, someone was mentioning, it might have been you, Lisa, that what a great location would be, like at the mouth of the Kern River Canyon. What a great space for a UC campus where we could continue to provide educational opportunities for our youth moving forward. That would be thinking big. I know that the Clovis General Plan includes a UC campus and places it on their general plan map because they're thinking big. They want people to know this is something we'd like to see there. This is one of our visions for the community. Martin, do you have some more big visions? I know you do, man. Don't be shy.
Just with like what Rose said, about like more like art related stuff. I know there's a lot of places, and like you said, you know, that culture. There's a lot of places that have like big mural paintings and stuff like on the walls. They just have like maybe there's like this big like artist or something that's like really loved in your town or something. There's like big murals painted of them around. I think it would be cool for us to have like stuff like that as well. Like just describing like our like stuff that'll show our culture to other people so that people can come see it and be like you know, like actually see the art and find the meaning behind it and learn about people here in Bakersfield from it.
Excellent. Who's next?
I think maybe I am.
I knew you were, Lisa. And I knew you had a big vision.
I do have a big vision. I want to see the highways, no matter where they are, landscaped. And I don't want to hear from Sacramento that has seemed to have landscaped everything up and down in the north and the south. I don't want to hear that they don't have money. I want to hear that this is what we're going to do. The state now has the West Side Parkway. Since then, the West Side, the city had it for a while. Since the state has taken it over, it looks like crumb. Now, I don't feel like I really want to be the armpit of California. You know, when people come into the community, the first thing they see is that. Now, that's not nice. And it's always been that way, even before construction. The end. That's all I'm saying. Do you agree?
I can say right now that the city's already beginning to invest in prototypes for freeways. Rose?
Okay, and I hope that they wait just a minute. I hope that they can take into consideration the types of plants that will grow here, because they didn't before. Okay, that's it.
I'm on record. I'd really love to see kind of like Vegas landscaping, you know,
yes.
With you know, I was just going through Vegas during my vacation, and you really had like steel, antelope, you know, as art forms, and it just was a beautiful place to drive through. There wasn't a green plant there, but it still was an attractive right away. I think we're going to need to be cognizant of water, but
yes,
there are many drought tolerant types of trees that can provide that greenery as well. So I'm sorry.
Where's Rose?
Rose?
Sorry, my dog got in the room. Hi.
What's your dog's name?
His name is Toby. Would
Does
you
he have any comments? What's his big vision? I'm just kidding around.
A dog park.
Amen. Rose, do you have a more vision? You are a visionary this evening. Do you have more visions for what the city in 2045 looks like?
I would like to see more lights that, okay, like if you've gone to Vegas, right? I think you just said you've gone to Vegas.
Yes.
I went to Vegas and with my family, of course. I went to Vegas. We were driving around at night, and there was like so many lights, and it just like completely lit up everything. It was really beautiful. So I would like to see something
Dark
like
place.
maybe like in I think it's in LA too. I would just like to see a lot more lights at night. So
Great. I'm losing track of who's who in terms of who's next. Is it you, Yazid?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, so for me, I like to see wider highways and newer streets. If you notice on the west part of town, like you have White Lane, Panama, Rosedale, you could drive up to 50 miles an hour on those sides. There's not that many roads on the east side of town, aside from like yeah, the only one I could think of is when Truxton turns into Edison Highway. That's really the only like fast road on the east side, aside from the 58 and the 178. There's not that many streets heading in that direction. So I also noticed, because I take the 58 when coming back home, like the exit onto Fairfax, that one still gets backed up. They really fixed the Mount Vernon, off ramp, but not the Fairfax one. I'm sure they'll eventually get to it, but I think as those areas grow, it's always better to fix it before that area gets too, grows. You don't want a community to grow and not have enough streets for people to get off into that community.
Thank you. Martin, I'm going to put you on the spot again. Big vision. It's 2045, Martin. You step out your door. You step out your door into Bakersfield. What do you see? What do you see? I see 25-story buildings right along the high-speed rail corridor with an indoor-outdoor stadium across from the high-speed rail tracks, with a UC campus out by the river. I see. What do you see?
Like, so going on with like the mural art, I was on my drive like earlier home, and I saw that we're having like, the taller walls on the freeway like they do in LA. And when I'm going there, especially like being the kid in the backseat, right? Because your parents are driving, there's like, you can see like all the patterns and stuff on each one of those walls. And I think it would also be cool that we'd have, because I did see some of the walls we have here. It's really similar to LA, which is cool. It gives me that LA feeling, but I think that's the issue. It gives me that LA feeling. I think it would be cool that we'd have our own patterns or like art to it, so that people will go back home and like they can't wait to go back to Bakersfield so they could see like that art style on our like walls there on the freeway and stuff.
It's the Bakersfield vibe.
Yeah, that Bakersfield vibe.
It's the sound of something better. I mean, the look of something better. The Bakersfield theme is the sound of something better. I'll go. I'll say I think we need to have better mass transportation. I think we're going to have a high-speed rail station. I think we should have, in 2025, we should have a complete light rail loop that takes advantage of our current bus systems to allow for virtually every neighborhood to not have to get into a car to go anywhere in the community, either through a combination of wheeled transportation in buses or trolleys onto a light rail with fixed light rail that takes people to any one of the number of venues in the city, but also will take people to the high-speed rail station so that a person could literally leave their front door and use mass transportation to get to anywhere in the state of California virtually using the high-speed rail system, and have less of a dependence upon the automobile. I don't think we're ever not going to be totally independent of the car, but I think that other societies of the world have less of a dependence on the automobile, and as the city grows and becomes more dense, the opportunity to provide better mass transportation to the resident is probably going to become a greater opportunity. Anybody believe me?
Well, I believe you, except guess what? We have to have people that are able to drive these things, because we don't even have enough bus drivers right now. So we need to have some kind of a school that teaches all this stuff. But I do believe you. It will happen.
I 100% hear you, Lisa, in terms of we need to have better vocational training for those individuals that train people in skills that, you know, the AC guys is always going to have a job, yet we're seeing a whole generation of AC technicians that are retiring out of the business, and they don't have apprentices to fill their shoes. I 100% hear you and agree with you, no doubt. Martin, do you agree with me, Martin, that we're going to have light rail that traverses all our neighborhoods, and trolleys that bring people to light rail, that bring people to high-speed rail? Or are we just going to all be driving electric cars in 2045?
No, I very much agree. And would it be my turn right now, or?
It is right now, Martin. You're talking, and I'm giving you the floor. I'm the boss of this thing. I'm the moderator.
So I was thinking of one that I want to say kind of went with that, but didn't really. It was like transportation basically, but I was remembering that like in San Francisco they have it, and in San Francisco they have it, and also they have it in Vegas, which is like tours, where, you know, they get you can go get, like, I forgot how it goes, but you're on a bus, right? Usually it's like those like double, like 2-floored bus thingies, and they like take you around the city and show you, like, I guess, like landmarks and stuff. And especially with what we're talking about having like more stuff in 2045, I think that's what the year you guys said, that like makes Bakersfield stand out more. I feel like there should be a system of taking tourists through like all these places and showing them, and really like telling them, you know, like the history of Bakersfield, and like maybe even in 2045, like more plans that we might have even that year, or in a near future, like 2050 or something, like even more stuff that we're going to have that is going to make us stand out even more, you know, like teaching them the history and what's to come and what currently is, and stuff like that. I think having like tourist guides and stuff through the city would be cool.
Excellent. Rose?
Hi, hello. I can't really think of anything at the moment. I was gonna say cleaner beaches, but I was gonna talk about Pismo Beach, but I don't think that's in Bakersfield, correct?
Well, if we put water in our river, we could be focusing on beaches, couldn't we?
Yeah.
You know, one way or another, I'd love to think big and see water in our river. You know, it's the lifeblood of the community. It's kind of a shame to see a dry riverbed. So I know what you're saying, Rose. Yazid?
I would actually like to see, and this may sound a little bizarre, but more venues for rent, you know, for weddings, events, things like that. When I grew up in New York, there was only like 2 wedding venues. So every third Sunday we had a wedding, and it's always, I'm going back to that building. We have a lot of good ones here in Bakersfield. And I'd like to see more, it'll help kind of like change the scenery, give people more options. I know the current county buildings are usually pretty affordable for, families who want to throw a big event but don't have a budget. So that tends to help. But yeah, just more venues. That way we have more events and, both personal and, public events.
Okay, I'm gonna take our last 6 minutes and you see the bullets on the side of the slide: economy, housing, neighborhoods, transportation, recreation, and the like. I think we've talked hard about what we want our economy to look like. If there was one word that we could attach to economy and jobs, for me, that word would be vibrant. Lisa, what would your word be?
Economy and jobs. I
Yep.
was looking at housing, actually.
Okay, well, let's just shift to housing because we haven't really talked about it.
Yeah, one reason I got into this time is because there are 3 out of 5 people that I know in my Bible study, 2 of them suddenly didn't have a place to live, and they could afford to buy, but it's the old story of people coming in, buying the house, and then, it's saying we're going to live in it or whatever, kicking them out. So anyway, we need more housing. I don't even know how we got here, but Kern County housing people, they need to have more money, or somebody needs to be doing something about this. And I will tell you, I'm wondering about those little houses in LA where they're putting homeless people. Is that working? I don't know. But that would certainly help. Big picture, I don't know. I just don't know.
Any closing comments on housing? I think the
No,
word is
I just
affordable. Definitely.
Yes,
We need
affordable is the
affordable
word,
housing.
and the ability to really connect with landlords, or the opportunities to rent.
What about one word to describe neighborhood livability or quality of life? Anybody? Martin, do you have one word for neighborhood livability or quality of life? What one word you want to encompass just quality of life in the city of Bakersfield in 2045?
I want to say unity, because like I said, it would be cool if we had like more murals and stuff to show the way that people are, our traditions and stuff here in Bakersfield, which would,
Mhm.
having those be like group projects and stuff for people to get together and make those murals. I feel like it really, just to have everybody united, I think it would be a cool thing for people to come to Bakersfield, and it's like everybody gets along and stuff, and there's a lot to see and everything. It would just add a lot more to the like positive energy for the people here and for tourists that would show up here.
I think it was a great word choice, especially as we've talked about diversity and how the community embraces that diversity. How about transportation now? One word that we would want to describe transportation in 2045.
I would say efficiency.
Okay. I was
Availability.
I was thinking integrated, so that but efficient, integrated, and the like. I think those are all very good terms. And then since I'm at the 2-minute and 45-second mark, let's move to our last bullet: recreation. We talked about some of the types of recreational venues that would add benefits to the community in 2045, whether that's a kind of like a dome. What did you call it, Yazid?
It was an indoor amusement park. It's called the Adventure
Amusement
Dome.
Park, or a drag strip, or Rose has talked about just the parks amenities we have today in terms of Hart Park, and I think Lisa mentioned the downtown Mill Creek Park as being an amenity. We have a wonderful system of parks in the community. What one word might describe our recreational opportunities in 2045?
A variety.
Yes. Yes, diversity.
Okay, I'm at the 1 minute and 35-second mark. Closing comments. You know, if we had to choose words or phrases, the words I'm seeing are vibrant, affordable, unified, efficient, integrated, variety. I would say accessible parks.
I think for the first three subjects, the economy, housing, and neighborhood, I think stability. One of the most important things when you move to a town is, you know, you could stay there for a long time. It's always, you know, very, yeah.
I know you want to stay there for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm there.
Yeah, and so when you move into a town and you know you're not sure if you're going to be able to afford it the following year, one, it just doesn't create stability, and you know you're already like planning on moving out, and we don't want that for the residents. Obviously, we want people to feel that if I move here, I could probably be here for the next decade or two, or maybe raise a family and just retire here. So I think stability is probably the one thing that stays on a lot of people's mind.
Well, in that we have 20 seconds, I just want to take an opportunity to thank Rosie and Martin and Lisa for participating in being visionaries in the city moving forward. I want to thank Yazid to being a contributing staff member throughout the process. I've had a wonderful time today. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Why don't I go ahead and give those instructions, and then I will go ahead and I can repeat them again. Un recordatorio solamente, ya que hemos estado, que ya regresamos al grupo mayor de nuestra discusión. Para escuchar la presentación en español, diríjase hacia el fondo de su pantalla y haga clic en interpretación para las opciones de audio. De allí seleccione español, y si después de seleccionar español escucha ambos idiomas al mismo tiempo, haga clic en silenciar el audio original. Un enlace para descargar la copia de la presentación en español está disponible en chat. Okay. Si alguien
Diana, you are clear to go for Spanish interpretation.
Okay. Si alguien no puede escuchar el audio en español, por favor, alce la mano, pero vamos a continuar con nuestra reunión. Okay, Cassandra?
Yes, thank you, everybody. Welcome back to the big group. We are going to wrap it up, but please don't disconnect just yet. We do have a really short video to share with everybody, and then I'm going to hand it to our planning director, Paul Johnson, for some closing comments. Before I play the video, I just want to thank my group for their honesty and for their willingness to learn about the process and asking really great questions. I'm sure that all of the other groups had a really similar experience and great dialogue. So I hope you guys continue to participate, and thank you for attending tonight. We really appreciate it. So let me share my screen really quick. Okay, that's it. So what's next is what we asked today and what we want to continue to talk about. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and then I'll hand it over to Paul for closing comments.
Yes, thank you, Cassandra. I appreciate everybody coming out this evening and participating, your valuable input. So on behalf of all the moderators, I appreciate everything that was discussed in the breakout rooms. As was noted earlier in the beginning, our next workshops are planned for late summer, early fall, with a focus on land use scenarios. We'll also be having some pop-up events. So if you see a general plan update table, feel free to stop by, say hi, provide additional input. We're taking everything we can get. Quick reminder that to visit the general plan update website at bakersfield2045.com to learn more. Sign up, receive updates, and tell your friends about that in your communities. And feel free to reach out to our outreach team, Claudia Cruz, for opportunities that we can partner with you. So we look forward to your ongoing participation in the general plan update. And with that, unless there's any questions, everybody is free to go. And thank you very much again.